proof for everybody that wants to know, how are you a God? I talked about this earlier.
Why are we gods?
You're God because you have a mind. There's one mind in the universe. So let me ask you this. There's a reason animals don't have imagination. Because once you think it, it's real. Everything is produced in the mind. That is an act of power. The force is being able to take that out of the mind and put it into a different dimension. See, we live in a third dimension, but there's another dimension, a fourth, a fifth, thought. So our ability to think, then do, makes us God. You understand me? So if you have a thought in the mind and you can conjure up an imagination and create an entire world in the universe inside you, that's an act of God, because you just created a world. Now, taking things out of that world that you created in your mind and being able to change the world around you, that's an act of Godhood. So if I have, before anything around us, everything was a thought first. This glass was first a thought. This iPhone was a thought. So you can't tell me that the creation of the internet is not an act of Godhood. You can't tell me the creation of this phone is not an act of Godhood. You can't tell me the act of producing a baby and producing life that can think, that can produce more life, that can create, that can pull things into a reality which is made up of carbon and atoms. But the difference between something you experience in a dream and something you experience in real life is that the dream world is connected by electrical circuitry and synapses in the brain, neurons firing and things of that nature, but the experience is the same, right? So when you dream, you have rapid eye movement because your eyes are actually looking around. There's non-rapid eye movement where you're not having a dream. But when you get into a lucid dream state, it feels real, right? Like, yo, I'm actually in my dream. I'm in my subconscious world. Now, if you ask somebody to say, measure the mind and how big is the mind? Couldn't do it, right? How big is the mind? This big, this big. Infinite, right? So if the mind is infinite and you are connected to that mind, then you are connected to the infinite source. Now your brain, 8.5, 9 ounces, that's different, right? You understand me? In the same way as your body, that's finite, that decomposes, but your mind,
all right,
that's forever.
Do you think that the black woman is neglected in the conscious community?
Is the black woman neglected in the conscious? The black woman has been neglected in all communities. The conscious community means that these are people that are being aware of it. So they're making an effort to heal the neglect that is happening and teach about the neglect that is happening. So you can't truly be a conscious community if you are neglecting that which builds up the basis and the foundation of a conscious community. So I would say that the black woman has definitely been neglected. But where we at right now is we taking responsibility. And it's not easy to take responsibility. We got out of June 19th, 1865, they told the slaves that they were free the slaves, blah, blah, blah. So the slaves were free. Then sharecropping, then Jim Crow. You know what I mean? And integration was even worse. You feel me? And so what point of time did we have to just say that we have an entire decade to just heal and get our minds right? You had feminism being thrown in that. You had Tuskegee. You had hoods, redlining. You feel me? Vaccines, chemtrails, all sort of different things thrown at us constantly. There's never been a decade where we can just heal. We've been trying to keep family together while somebody been trying to break family apart. So we've never got the point in time where we can just sit at family to where the man heals himself, the woman heals herself. So when they get together, these are not two victims of trauma trying to figure it out. These are two guys that are healed, that have the ability to further heal and produce a generation that's healed. But we've never had that, and now we got the internet. The internet disrupts that process as well, so it's constant re-triggering of trauma through the epigenetics that's passed down through the DNA. So we haven't had a time to heal. That's where, once we get past this war that we currently dealing with, we have to go into a peace. You understand me? Once we get into that peace after we go through this war and we get a piece of our own, then we say we got to deal with the mental issues that deal in here.
What does that look like? What does the hereafter look like?
Well, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said the hereafter. Matter of fact, I want to read something to you. And this is something that I wrote. And it's very powerful because it talks about the hereafter. And the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said the hereafter is what exists after the white man's time is up. You understand me? So that's how you know that we are in the hereafter. But accordingly, right now, we're not there yet. You know what I mean? Because his time is not up yet. Or his time is up, but he hasn't been removed out of his position. So let me go ahead and get into this. This is powerful right here. I gotta get out of here after this, but this is powerful. I got something to go do. All right, so it says the ultimate thought experiment is to create a vision and prophesize the truth and then work until it comes into fruition. Let me say that again. The ultimate thought experiment is to create a vision, prophesize the truth, then work until it comes into fruition. Growing up, I was always taught about scientists who could predict the future. But in order for their prediction to come true, someone had to work to bring their prediction or visions into fruition. The future I was taught about as a child was called the hereafter, a future where systematic oppression, disease, corruption, injustice, inequality, and slavery no longer existed. A world ran by righteousness, where churches and mosques and synagogues were no longer necessary because the people were the mosques and churches. They didn't go to them, they became them. And if you did want to hear the word of God, you would speak to your brother or sister. You feel me? Where praying at prescribed times were no longer necessary of a practice because people prayed at all times, meditated at all times in their mind. The alignment of their psyche, spirit, body, and soul was ever present in the people. They walked around with glows of enlightenment, black and brown people with power and sovereignty, living in peace, separated from those on a different thought frequencies that will cause conflict and division. Scientifically capable people who built their own technology and raised genius children with ancient knowledge. Not a society based upon authority, but enlightenment. This is the vision that we must come into fruition. This is the vision that we must have where people no longer get high off drugs because they mastered a kundalini within self.
Oh, yeah.
All foods are organic and we live a very long time, not by the current standard death rate. Everyone lives an energy asset lifestyle, has money, good homes, friendships of all walks of life. The black families build legacies and empires and keep libraries of recorded history so we never go backwards ever again. All black and brown people are mathematical thinkers with proficient knowledge of astronomy, physics, calculus, and economics at a very young age. The individual works to add to the collective or the tribe, not the tribe working around the individual. They gather to speak and collectively build the future for the next 100 to 1,000 years. There's no more propaganda and marketing, left brain schemes and secret society organizations, all the symbols of positive and righteous and take back their original meaning. No more egregors and rituals that control the thoughts of the people because an enlightened people have self-control.
Do you think that...
Wait, I'm not done.
All right.
They self-rule themselves based off universal laws of enlightenment and mathematical thinking, allowing them to kill the conjuring thoughts of devilishment and tricknology that may creep up because they are well aware of it. And the consciousness that gives them the power, and that consciousness gives them that power. And so prisons are necessary. The prison system would not be as it is today, a torture chamber of homosexuality, psychosis, and savage gang culture. But one with actual reforming methods, preparing the minds to thrive in society. Laws that govern your well-being and keep in place peace and not instill fear. Communities that govern their own people with officers who have earned degrees to qualify and go through consistent evaluation and training so that they never have an abuse of power set in. Whose minds are clear and whose home life is stable, an entire new system based off righteousness.
All right.
An entire society of people with quantum consciousness and patterns of thinking aligned with God above emotions. I don't think I need to go any further.
Oh, that was real deep right there. That's deep science
Yeah,
right there.
you ain't know you was gonna hit me with a question and I had an answer like
yeah,
that prepared.
Oh, yeah.
You ain't know I'll be writing like that, huh?
Oh, no, no, sir. No, sir. That was great. That was great. All right, I got a question for you. Do you think that black people use leaders as a crutch to point blame?
Absolutely, because everybody has the ability to become a leader themselves. So if you're looking as an outside source, a savior, or blaming someone else, then you are already at fault. The moment you blame someone else, you're at fault. It's 2020 year of ownership. So people look at leaders to become their crutches for things that they could be doing to help themselves walk up straight. You understand me? It's like that person is doing their part. From whatever part they're doing now, what part are you going to play? But see, we look at other people's positions and saying that, look, I don't like the way you're doing your part. Well, what part are you doing? This person might be an activist in the streets. This person might be on social media active. You understand me? This person might be in a court. No, I'm not going to talk nothing bad about these people. And I want to talk about this for a second. What you do frequently becomes your frequency, right? Frequency can actually be measured. So we can put this into an arithmetic, right? So let's look at the police deaths that happen per year. Let's say that 1,000 deaths happen per year. So if we broke that down per day and it's 365 days in 1,000, then we had to come to about 2.7 hertz, right? So now we say, all right, what 19 Keys done is going to be add to a decrease in the frequency of police murders that are happening every single year. What Samad is doing the same thing. What this person is doing in the media, what this person is doing with the politics, this person is doing with the street organizing, what this person is doing with the preaching and ministering, what this person is doing, that everybody does something to decrease that number. We want to make sure that that number is decreasing daily.
All right.
So now, if everybody is shooting at that target, the dominant frequency wins. So that's where unity comes from. Everybody playing a part, getting to that same agenda and goal.
Oh.
So what you do frequently becomes your frequency. So now we decrease the hertz. So let's say we got it to a point where it's 500. So now we take a topic, we look at all the police deaths that happen and say it was 1,000 last year. Let's do something every day. Let's make sure that we get on the insurance companies about the police to make sure that if anything happens, you feel me, we can utilize them against them because they're the ones who insure the police when something happens. You know what I mean? Let's make sure that our babies are insured to where the insurance companies going to penalize the police officers for murder. You understand me? Because if they taking money out the insurance companies and they got to pay out the families, then that's going to be an issue. You understand me? Like, just start doing so many different things and tactics that it forces a decrease in the police deaths that happen. Then you get into the politics to where, you know what, we're going to make sure we implement new laws. You understand me? We're going to do the whole 9 yards. Everybody play their part in their position. It's forced to decrease because of the new frequency of things that's happening frequently.
All right.
So we get to change it by looking at it as a mathematical arithmetic and saying that everybody plays their part in the number.
That was great. All right. Okay, the state of mind of black people. Well, let me reestablish the question. What does the black mind, the mass mindset of black people look like to you as a collective?
As a collective, it's different levels to that. And I want to answer it like this. When I traveled to Africa, Jamaica, UK, back to the US, all throughout the States, look at hip hop, right? Hip hop is played in all those places and we all listen to the same music, right? So imagine if everybody every radio station and club was playing nothing but 444. What would that do? It would change the frequency of the people because what they will be talking about and listening to are assets. You understand me? And taking care of responsibility. You understand me? And not being niggas and things of that nature. So now played into the thoughts of these people will be responsibility. It will start forcing them to make different decisions and how they express themselves because of how they're being influenced through the music. Now, you can tell a lot about where we are currently based on the state of hip hop and what's being played because hip hop is the largest global entity that we are a part of as a culture. And it's being exported all around the world for us to listen to. It is a tool of communication. Black people are a rhythmatic people. We like things that you gonna give us something, they gotta have some rhythm in it, some soul in it. You know what I mean? I can give me my information with inspiration and some and rhythm to it. Dr. Khaled talked about that. So when I look at it as a diaspora globally, yes, we are waking up and becoming more conscious. And you have to understand that we are people that's still healing, so you got to be patient with our people. You feel me? Like people be wanting overnight results, and that ain't how it works because we have centuries worth of hurt and trauma. So I think that collectively we are people that are have that self-accusing spirit and trying to take more responsibility, but at the same time fighting the need for escapism. You understand me? There's people that are thinking about economics in a different way, thinking about collaboration in a different way. We are people that's waking up to the agenda that's been against us. So the beautiful thing about it right now, I think that we are in a beautiful time to be alive in, because you even start to see shifts in, when you see the shifts, not in just the music, but the music artists, right? Like, take a look at DaBaby. He's a good example. His music is ratchet. You know, he talk about bitches and hoes and cars and, you know, whatever it is. But then he have a song like Intro, to where he was like, you know, let's take care of our kids. You feel me? And it's about his father. And when he do the interviews, he's more astute and he starts to talk more intelligent. You feel me? There's a different guided mind that says that, no, I don't want to be your boy. I want to be independent. There's United Masters that has their independent app that's teaching artists to be independent. What is this doing? It's saying that I don't want the corporations to run me anymore. I don't want to bend over backwards for them anymore. So there's this mindset that everybody is having globally, like, nah, I don't want to be a slave anymore. Because a lot of people didn't realize they were slaves. They didn't realize that they were just rich slaves with liberty to do something. Now black people are realizing that slavery didn't stop with physical bondage. It evolved into a mental bondage. And now you see people loosening the chains off their mind. And when they free, then they can start thinking about the dreams that we really want to cultivate and create. And then it's not just a fight of oppression. So I see all across the world, black people are loosening the chains of dogma and traditionalism so they can get back to enlightenment.
All right, that was pretty good.
It's always somebody missed the point, Max Moose. It ain't about whether you sign to a level. You missed the entire point.
Health is wealth. How important is eating healthy and making the right healthy decisions?
Man, all right, so we're going to end off on this question because I got to bust a move. But this one is probably the most important question that people don't even realize how fucked up they are. And I got to say it like that because I was preparing to go over this. And this is something that everybody, if you love your mom, if you love your family, this is something that you will bring to their attention. You understand me? Like, this is real, true love, right? So every time you eat something, right, let's say it has chemicals in it. It has a certain reaction to your body. Now I'm going to read this definition of what inflammation is, all right? Inflammation is the body's immune response to pain or injury. But most people, all people have inflammation in their bodies, right? Low levels of inflammation can be triggered by perceived internal threat, even when there isn't a disease to fight or an injury to heal. And sometimes this signals the immune system to respond. As a result, white blood cells swarm but have nothing to do and nowhere to go. And they may eventually start attacking internal organs or other healthy tissue and cells. So what I just said is that if I eat some food that has a chemical in it, now my body is going to create, my immune system is going to have a response to that chemical because it's foreign and it don't know what it's doing in my body. So now it just triggered, you understand me, my white blood cells to start swarming and eating up my internal organs and healthy tissue. And this is where you start to form mucus and things of that nature, and all of the itises, arthritis and gastritis and all of it. So your peoples, they sick because of everything that they eating consistently. Now this also can happen in the brain. You understand, with neuroinflammation, you have chronic inflammation. You have all these different things, these words people know about, oh, mucus is not good for you, but you don't even know how mucus is triggered completely. Like, we got to be a scientifically capable people, and we have to understand this shit for real, for real. You know what I mean? But health is completely important because health is connected to our mood and the way that we think. You can eat yourself into a depression. You understand me? You can eat yourself into a depression. the vegans be eating all this junk food and thinking they healthy. No, you ain't healthy. You think you doing something good for the planet, but you killing your own world inside you. You killing your own body. You have microbiome in your gut that you're supposed to be feeding. You understand me? Your heart and your mind, all these things have to be aligned. But if your parents is sick and your children are sick, then you got to look at how did you make them sick. You understand me? What did you feed them? And how did you kill yourself? All food is either healing you or killing you. It's either life or it's death. And of course, nobody wants to go and study these things. That's too much, keys. Who cares if we studying all of this? Let me just eat a little bit because it tastes good. Do it, but don't complain about the disease that run in your family. Don't be asking people to go and pray for your auntie when she's sick. You know what I mean? She's swole up. They got diabetes. They need all these insulin shots. You understand me? Don't complain if that's the problem. Go celebrate it, because when you ate, that's how you did. You celebrated. If we go celebrate death every day, then also, celebrate eating and the things that kill us, then go celebrate it. Quit asking for sympathy. Quit asking for money for the funeral. Go burn the body if that's the case. Because if you don't care how you live, why should somebody care why you died? You know what I mean? So we got to get to that point where we are thinking about how these things affect us. You understand me? And what's happening to us on the inside and the outside. Now, that's a respectable people. Of people that cares about what they eat and what they do and who's feeding them, and they learn how to feed themselves, and they saying no to chemicals, and they forcing their government to ban GMOs. They're forcing diabetes to go down and cancer to go down. They're not saying that let's just love our bodies. No, let's say let's love our healthy bodies. You understand me? Because a person, if I was bipolar and I was schizophrenic, and as there people all of a sudden they made a movement to say, you know what? Don't mental health shame. Don't bipolar shame. I'm not about to be proud of bipolar. I'm not about to be proud of schizophrenia. You understand me? If I'm a sociopath, I'm not gonna be proud, because no, we gonna do what's necessary to make sure that this don't consistently exist in the next generation or within myself. But we get to a point where, because it's attached to capitalism, because of all of these food organizations and things of that nature, and the drug companies, they profit off disease and unhealthy living. So they don't benefit from things that's going to actually produce a healthier society. They benefit from a society that's dying with disease because it's big business. All of a sudden, if the people got more healthier, where do the doctors and the nurses and the hospitals go? Hours start to decrease. The medicine and the pharmaceutical companies start to decrease. But this is $1 billion industry. So you need them. Think about this. Most doctors are not even that healthy. They be smoking, eating fast food, sleep deprivation, dehydration, all kind of issues with them. So if the person that's supposed to be healing me not healthy and living a holistic lifestyle, what the hell can they do for me if we want other people to lead by examples?